Hi, it's Ray from IELTSfocus.com. I did this video before as a Facebook live video, but I was having trouble with my microphone, so I decided to redo it again as a normal video. So anyway, this is an analysis of a causes solution essay. I've got a model answer which I'm going to break down into parts and show you how to write this kind of essay with some guidelines here. Now, first of all, when we get a task question, we have to analyze the question. So you open up the paper and you get a task question. And this is the question: in recent times, many wild animals are near to becoming extinct, while others are on the endangered list. What are the reasons for this? What can be done to solve this problem? So straight away, we have to look at the key words. So in recent times, wild animals near to becoming extinct, others are endangered. What are the reasons? What can be done? So it's pretty straightforward. Endangered, well, endangered means that the animals are close to dying out completely, and it's the same meaning as near to becoming extinct, similar meaning. Extinct means they're completely gone from the earth, they no longer exist in the world. So the type of essay, it's a problem solution essay, but the key point here is that you must state the reasons, because the task question asked for what are the reasons for this. So the reasons for the problem, now that would be in main body 1, and you'll also need to think of a possible solution that you would put in main body 2. And no direct opinion is needed. So in this case, I'll just write possible solutions or a solution. Now the next step is to think of ideas. So after we've analysed the question and we looked at the key words and we're looking at what the issues are, we need to think of the ideas. Now when you're thinking of ideas, don't make a whole list of causes and solutions. The essay needs only one central topic in each paragraph. So the essay can either have 2 causes and 1 solution, or just 1 cause of the problem and 1 solution. I'd keep it simple and I'd just go for 1 problem or 1 reason for the problem and then 1 solution. That would be fine for a band 7 or more essay if you write it well. Don't just write a list of points. Use 1 central idea and support that with a good example. So if you want to write 2 reasons for the problem and 2 possible solutions, that's okay if you feel confident doing that, but no more than that really. Now, another thing about thinking of ideas is the best way to get ideas is to keep asking the question why. So imagine you're having a conversation with a friend and you're in a coffee shop or whatever, and you're both discussing the task question. You've been given this task question and you're having a chat about it. So you can use your imagination, you make notes, but don't brainstorm too many ideas because you don't have the time, and of course you need to be selective. So you could think of 2 or 3 reasons for the problem, or 2 or 3 possible solutions, but of course you're not going to use all of those. You could just choose one of each. Make sure that your ideas are relevant to the issues in the question. It's very easy to go off topic in these kind of questions, so keep it relevant. And you should spend about 10 minutes planning the essay. Now when it comes to planning, of course you need to first analyse the question, you need to look at what the issues are, you need to think of ideas, they've got to be relevant, and of course you have to think of supporting points, not just the main topic, the main ideas, but how you're going to support those ideas. And then of course you need to think about how are you going to write the thesis statement, how are you going to paraphrase the introduction. So you really need 10 minutes, and of course you need to think of a good structure. Now you need to stick with your plan. Don't suddenly add new ideas while you're writing, because you'll get confused and you could go off topic and you could ruin the whole essay. I had a student once who was capable of a band 8, But in the essay, in the exam, she said that she went off topic. She started thinking of all these different ideas she could add, and she lost her plan. The plan went out the window, and then next thing you know, she couldn't finish on time. She didn't have a conclusion. As a result, she got a band 6.5, I think it was, in the writing task 2. So you really have to stick with your plan once you've planned it out. Now let's take a look at the introduction. So we've got to go back to the task question again. Keep referring back to the task question. So again, in recent times, many wild animals are near to becoming extinct, while others are on the endangered list. What are the reasons for this, and what can be done to solve the problem? So the first thing I need to do is paraphrase the task, or the task question. And here it is. In recent years, numerous animal species have been listed as endangered. Some are close to extinction. Now, I've only just changed a few words, like the word years, recent times, recent years, numerous from many. I've added the word species, and I've changed the formation of the words here, have been listed as endangered. So in the task question, it says on the endangered list, but here I've said listed as endangered. That's fine. And some are close to extinction. So extinct and extinction is a different formation of the word. Now you may think, well, I'm repeating words here like endangered. You can actually repeat words. You don't have to paraphrase everything. This is a big mistake that people make. They think that they cannot repeat some words from the introduction. So they try and paraphrase every single word, and that's a big mistake, and it's going to take you a lot of time to do that, and it will just ruin the essay. So don't be afraid to sometimes, copy the actual word. You can just make subtle changes to the sentence formation. You don't even have to sometimes change the word completely, you just change the form of the word. Now, after we've paraphrased the task question, the next step is the thesis statement. Now, this shows the examiner what you're actually going to write about. And this is the thesis statement. So one reason for this is global warming, which has altered their natural habitat and the ecosystem. And a possible solution could be for governments to jointly implement environmental protection policies. Now, the task didn't ask for a direct opinion, doesn't ask for a direct opinion, so I've just outlined a reason and a possible solution. As you can see here, one reason for this is, and a possible solution could be. So I've just chosen one reason and one solution. That will be fine. Now let's go back to the task question again, the original task question. So as I say, get into the habit of referring back to the task question so that you stay on topic. And here is my introduction, my essay introduction. So we've got the paraphrased task question and the thesis statement. Now the thing about introductions is that they should be quite short. When I say short, around about 50 words, 55 words maximum. You don't want to be going into irrelevant detail. You've got to keep it concise. In fact, this introduction is about 46 words or something like that. Now you don't have to obsess about counting every single word, but the point here is you've got to keep it clear and concise and to the point. And you shouldn't be going into big long introductions. It's a very simple process, really. Just paraphrase and then a thesis statement. Another problem that people make with introductions is they write an outline statement like this essay will discuss. I would advise against doing that because that's not a thesis statement. That's called an outline statement. So as you can see, what I've just done here, that's perfectly fine. So now let's take a look at main body 1. In this paragraph, we're going to write the reason for the problem. And the first thing I need is a topic sentence. One reason for wild animals becoming extinct or at risk is global warming, which is dramatically changing the ecosystem. So it's got to be a specific topic sentence. It's got to be very clear and specific and directly linked to the issues in the task question. And I started it with one reason for. So I'm just giving one reason. Now we need to write some supporting sentences. We need to support the topic sentence. So many species are very sensitive to the condition of their habitat, and subsequently, over a period of time, climate change results in the disappearance of animals and biodiversity. Then I've got the phrase moreover, so I'm adding a little bit more information here. So moreover, if other species in the ecosystem disappear, this creates imbalance and makes the situation even worse, potentially making the problem irreversible. So in this case, I've got about three main supporting sentences, 3 or 4 actually. So I've added moreover because I'm trying to develop it, I'm explaining it, you see. So you have to write your topic sentence, then you have to explain it. And then after the supporting sentence, I can now add a specific example. This goes towards explaining it even more. I'm really giving weight and backing up your supporting point, your main topic sentence and your supporting points. Now, when we start a specific example, you can use phrases like for instance, or for example, or to illustrate this. In this case, I use for instance, and I've got a UN study in 2012. It showed that the bee population in Europe has decreased dramatically over the past decade, caused by pollution and subtle changes in their habitats. Now, okay, bees are not animals, but I'm still on the topic of pollution and changes to the habitats. So this is main body 1 in its full entirety. You may want to pause the video and just read that. Now, this body paragraph is around about 95 words or something like that. I would advise around about 85 to 100 words for a main body paragraph. Now, 100 words even is a little bit going over the top a little bit. You don't really want more than 100 words in a main body paragraph. If your essay is too long, like over 300 words, then you could make a lot more mistakes and you may even run out of time because you just don't have the time to write a really long essay. So around about 90 words, 95 words is perfectly fine. There's no exact rule, but you need to be aware of the length of the body paragraph. Now we're going to take a look at main body 2, and this is going to be about the solution to the problem. So again, I start with a topic sentence. Now I outline the possible solution. So one possible solution to this issue is for governments worldwide to urgently cooperate and implement environmental protection policies, particularly in countries of endangered animals. It's a little bit of a longer topic sentence, but I'm trying to be very specific here. Now the supporting sentences, so we have to explain that a little bit more. So this means that. So this means that is when you're explaining something. This means that the priority should be working towards maintaining biodiversity, which can be achieved by enforcing an approach to dramatically reducing CO2 emissions. This is a complex task, but if it is globally coordinated, it can be resolved. And now I need to think of a specific example. So to illustrate this, over the past 8 years, Australia has implemented tough measures on factory emissions and given financial incentives to people using solar energy to generate their electricity needs. So that ties in with the possible solution of implementing environmental protection policies. So if we look at main body 2 in its entirety, you can see it here. Again, it's almost the same length as main body 1. I've seen essays where the main body paragraphs are imbalanced, which means that main body 1 is like 9,500 words, main body 2 was like 70 words. That's really unbalanced paragraphing, so it's got to be consistent. It doesn't have to be exactly the same word count, but it needs to be consistent. So take a look at that. You may want to pause the video, just have a quick read of that. So now we're going to move to the conclusion. Now the conclusion, an easy way to write a conclusion is to just rephrase your thesis statement, your original thesis statement. So you need to go back and check your introduction again. That was my original introduction. Now, the full conclusion I've written here is to conclude, due to global warming, many animals are in danger because of radical changes to their natural surroundings and ecosystems. Coordinated environmental policies and effective action needs to be taken by world governments to solve this issue. So I started the conclusion with the phrase to conclude. That's very important. That signals that it is a conclusion, and you're really just kind of summarizing what you wrote about in your introduction or in your main body paragraphs. Again, the conclusions, they should be quite short. They're usually shorter than the introduction. This one is around about 36 words, I think it is. I mean, again, you don't have to obsess about the word count, but, keep it short and clear and concise. Now, I want to talk about conclusions a little bit. So do not add any new ideas to a conclusion. Any new ideas that you have, they should be put in the main body paragraphs, not in the conclusion. I said before, keep it short and concise. About 3 sentences, really, that would be enough. 3 sentences, even 2 sentences is enough, And don't just repeat every word from your introduction. Rephrase the introduction again, or paraphrase your thesis statement. If you just copy every word from the introduction, it's repetitive and you could lose marks there. So again, it's testing your paraphrasing skills. And use the correct cohesive device. I've seen conclusions of strange cohesive devices like as aforementioned above, or in a nutshell, stuff like that. It just doesn't really, it's not right. I mean, just use one of these 3 to conclude, or in conclusion, or to sum up. That's all you need. Choose one. Now, when we finish the essay, or ideally while you're writing the essay, you should be checking for mistakes. This is very important. Simple mistakes could lose you a lot of marks. Now, there's 2 methods to check for mistakes. So after writing each paragraph, go back over and carefully read what you wrote, checking for mistakes. The second method is to just leave 5 minutes at the end of the essay and then review the whole essay for mistakes. So I would recommend the first method, because you can easily get overwhelmed if you leave it to the end to go through the essay. You've just written a long essay, more than 250 words. You've got to now go through that, check for mistakes. It's just too much for some people. So I recommend after each paragraph, read it carefully and look out for mistakes. So what kind of mistakes? What do we look out for? Check for spelling and grammar mistakes, especially things like articles, the and at, the correct use of plurals and countable, uncountable nouns. These I often see when I'm marking people's essays, problems of articles and plurals and subject-verb agreement. And also look out for run-on sentences. These are sentences when you just have one big long sentence and there's no punctuation. This is normally when someone's trying to write a complex sentence and they get it wrong. It just becomes far too long. And it's connected to punctuation. So check run-on sentences and the way you use punctuation, because the examiners are going to check your punctuation. That's very important. And keep checking back to the task question to make sure that you're still on topic and you're writing about the issues in the task, not just the general overall topic. So as you're writing, keep going back to your task question, keep having a look at that, keep checking it, make sure you're on topic, you're on the issues. So let's take a quick look at some vocabulary. These are some of the words I used in the essay. So we've got ecosystem, at risk, endangered, extinction, extinct, and endanger. Implement policies, I mentioned that in paragraph 2, I think. Global warming, environmental protection policies, climate change, species, biodiversity, natural habitats, and CO2 emissions. That was in paragraph 2. I mentioned about pollution, implementing measures, that's a collocation, implement tough measures. And coordinated policies, again, that's another collocation. So most of that vocabulary is, all of it is on topic. It's on the topic of the task question. But there's a few things I have to mention about vocabulary. So some guidelines on learning new words here. Make sure that you use words in context and that you know their precise meaning. Learning collocations are also very important. So knowing a word's precise meaning, some people, they have lists of words, or they get given these so-called band 9 lists of words, and they just put those words into the essay, and it can completely destroy your essay if you're just memorizing words. So you need to know the precise meaning of the word, and also be very careful of the way you use synonyms, because not all synonyms really mean the same. That's another video, actually. That's a completely separate topic. I could make another video on that, but that's a key point to think about. You know, as I said before, if you memorize lists of words and just put them in the essay, the writing just probably won't make any sense. So reading is important. Recording new words as you're reading is important. Read stuff that is related to IELTS topics so that you can build specific vocabulary or topic-specific vocabulary. And I advise setting a target of learning around 6 new words a day. So that would be over 180 words a month. 190 words a month, something like that. That's quite a lot, that's quite good. Review the words that you're learning. Regularly review them. It's easy to forget. And of course, make your own sentences. Practice using those words in context. So for the full model answer, we got it here. This is the introduction, main body 1, main body 2, and the conclusion. As you can see, it's clear paragraphing. That's another thing you're going to be checked on in the exam, is the way you use paragraphs. You have to leave an empty line between the paragraphs, skip a line basically. The examiner has to see that you have clear paragraphing. And in the marking criteria, it says no more than 5 paragraphs. So you can have 3 main body paragraphs if you like, but I recommend about 2 main body paragraphs, and you've always got an introduction and a conclusion. So if you want to pause the video, you can read that through, get some ideas. Now the total word count here I worked out is 276 words. That's really fine, that's perfect. 250 words is minimum. I advise 270 to 290 words is fine. If it's more than 300 words, it's becoming too much, you're going over the top. Well, thanks for watching, and if you have any comments or questions, leave a comment below this video, and I'll try and get back to you. Okay, thanks a lot.